What's going on there, folks? Good afternoon, good morning to some out there. It's the Earthmaster here on this Wednesday, October 26, 2022. It is about 11:09 a.m. California time here. Latest quake shows a 3.5 just off the coast here of Japan. It looks like about 60 kilometers deep there into it's either the Izu Trench or the Japan Trench area. All right, let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here across the map. I'm going to start off here with California, see what we got cooking out here, considering we seen a little bit of uptick last night, yesterday, around the San Jose area, just off of the Calaveras fault zone. So what do we have? Any further activity kicking up? Well, let's take a look and see what we got here. Yesterday's earthquake, a 5.1. Striking on the Calaveras fault zone, was felt pretty broadly over portions of the Bay Area, even up into the Reno, Nevada area. The folks seem to report a few felt reports up there. Here is the Did You Feel It reports across the Bay Area, portions of the Sacramento Valley, and it looks like maybe even up around Chico, but I didn't feel that. I mean, and I can feel earthquakes pretty well if they happen, even smaller ones. Plus, I have an earthquake rock above the computer here. It's basically a crystal hanging off of a 3-foot piece of string, and I've seen that thing rock back and forth before, even so slightly, when earthquakes occur. So I didn't feel it. Not for certain how far it was felt up north, but here is the Did You Feel It report map. All right, so earthquake activity following that, or aftershock activity, it looks like so far the largest in the sequence of aftershocks so far, a 3.5. And that one came in yesterday. We've had definitely a pretty good amount of aftershocks, although nothing here within the last 2 hours, it looks like. Looks like things have kind of calmed down a little bit for this area. But about 23 earthquakes covering this little area so far. And we did see some further movement east into the Sierra Nevada last night. Noticed that coming into the maps here. So still quite a bit of pressure out here along the west coast, along the plate boundary itself. It's holding up pretty well, but it's a major plate boundary. No doubt one day the San Andreas Fault will go again. But we did have a 3.1 just about 11:30 last night up into the Walker, California area. Now that is the Antelope Valley, not Southern California, but the one that stretches across the Nevada-California border right here. A lot less people here around Colville, Antelope Valley. 4.1 kilometers deep. Haven't seen any further adjustment since last night in that area. A little bit of spotty activity continuing down here along the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. So I still think there's a little bit of potential out here to see some further movement. Ridgecrest area looks a little spotty. Little activity, it looks like right around the don't want to see any swarms out here on this section. That's right at the San Andreas Fault and the Garlock Fault and the Big Pine Fault, kind of an intersection of fault systems out here. And if we start seeing that thing swarm up a little bit, that could be a good indicator of something about ready to pop on one of them, or if not all of them. 1.0, though, right smack dab on the Garlock Fault earlier this morning, about 2 hours ago. Further down south, seen a little bit of activity just off the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault here near the Pear Blossom area. Just some very small microquakes down there at about 9 kilometers deep. And further down south, a pretty good cluster of earthquakes here along the San Jacinto Fault zone. Looks like it's going to be in between one of these segments here. Let's take a closer look and see what we got. Nothing major, about 30 earthquakes in this little swarm. Looks like a 2.9, the largest so far in that cluster. But obviously that's a good sign of some pressure out here along the west coast, as noted. I think the entire west coast is under a little bit of strain right now. All right, let's see what else we got further up north. We'll get to that Texas earthquake here in a minute. Looks like that's just popping up down there outside of Mount Shasta, above Mount or the above Shasta Lake at a 1.8. Looks like earlier, just a couple hours ago. There's that movement out into the Gorda Plate yesterday. Not seeing any unusual movement up here along the Cascadia. Remember, we did see some weird tremor last night. Let me show you guys the tremor. Where are we? Oh, there it is. I still haven't got used to this. We did see some weird tremor offshore, and we went back a couple months here, and I can't recall the last time I ever seen tremor this far upstream towards the locked area. Literally, it's just a few miles from the locked area of the Cascadia. And that's a little odd to see that linear type activity occurring out there. I think it means something, but I don't know exactly what. So I've been looking for some odd earthquakes to maybe pinpoint a potential Cascadia coming as far as a mega quake goes. But right now I'm not seeing anything unusual as far as any further earthquakes occurring within the Cascadia zone itself. But we're watching it. We got to see what the tremor looks like tonight. See if there's still continuance here of tremor offshore, which is just, it's a little strange. Like I say, we don't see that too often there along the Cascadia like that. More inland, yes. Further inland here on the map means further deeper downstream. The further west you go here on the map, so to speak, the more shallower it gets within this area. As the Cascadia sits right here, all the way up here and down into Northern California. All right, let's see. Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, all showing a little bit of microquake activity today. Nothing major, but we will keep an eye on those. Great Basin looks pretty quiet. A little bit of movement across Utah today. Yellowstone National Park, only 3 earthquakes being listed up here on the map. Let's go ahead and check out the raw data ourselves and see what's going on here. Let's see, right around Maple Creek area over the last couple hours and this morning, looks like a few earthquakes popping up there on the map. Again, no major swarm, but man, this has been ongoing for a little while now. Almost, I'm wanting to say it's got to be close to 2 months now of at least daily earthquake activity. And the USGS has not put out anything yet in terms of this earthquake or tally, as far as this earthquake swarm goes. Let me go ahead and check here real quick and see what we got here at Yellowstone. Everything's still green, which is good, right? We don't want to see any elevated conditions here at Yellowstone. Volcano updates, they do monthly updates. And it looks like the last one was put out on the 1st of October. So we got to wait a couple more days here to see what they're going to say about all the earthquakes. And I'm sure we got to be getting close to, let's see here, during September in Yellowstone there was 678 earthquakes. So over the past month here, I'm sure we've at least did that amount, if maybe more. This event is part of an ongoing seismic activity that began in the area on July 29th. So it looks like this has been ongoing for a little while. 510 earthquakes were added to the sequence, and seismicity continued through the end of the month. Earthquake sequences like these are common and account for roughly 50% of the total seismicity in the Yellowstone region. The Yellowstone earthquake activity is currently above background levels. So, yeah, obviously, right? Couple months of swarming. GPS systems here. Looks like in the Norris Geyser Basin recorded a transition from slight uplift to slight subsidence. Very small, 1 centimeter maybe, or a fraction of an inch in mid-September. This style of deformation occurs every summer, and I think we talked about this, how the groundwater or snowmelt percolates into the ground and causes the surface to swell. Kind of like a sponge. That's a good explanation there. The pause or slight uplift begins in late spring or early summer, and by late summer or early fall, the deformation style returns to subsidence. So, well, either way, still a lot of earthquake activity, right? All right, moving on here. What do we got in Texas? Showing up here on the red, 3.1 near Fowlerton, Texas. Never heard of that. May have been through there on one of my storm chasing events. See what we got for satellite view. 10 kilometers below the surface. What do we got out here, folks? Can you guys see all that? Do we need to zoom in a little bit more? All right. So this earthquake strikes out here in a mega field of oil pumping operations. No joke. There's quite a bit of them. A lot. A lot of these look in, kind of look like they're out of commission here. I don't really see any more tanks, any ponds, a couple ponds down here, wastewater injection wells. And there's some older ones out here too. Notice these older features on the land. So it's out there, and it looks like it's right next to one here, underneath one, I should say, about 10 kilometers deep. Amongst thousands upon thousands upon thousands of oil pumping field operations out there. Oklahoma, got that swarm kicking back up here. Is this that swarm that we've seen? Yeah, this one looks a little south. You guys remember the swarm we had over the last, let me bring it up here and see if I can find it. 30 days, it may have been past 30 days. It was up north, I believe, a little bit further up north. Yeah, that swarming that we seen was in a separate location up here. That one had a few hundred earthquakes. We haven't really seen anything here in recent days. Let me see here what we got, the 24th. So it looks like a couple days ago we had a few small earthquakes, but the swarming has come to a stop there. Now we got a new swarm going on here, it looks like. Because we look at the all magnitudes map here, and I'd say it's kind of kicking up a little bit there. 2.2, the largest in this sequence of earthquakes. Now, these are down there about 4 to 5 kilometers deep and may not necessarily be associated with oil pumping operations out there. It looks like there's some type of plate system here. Notice the topography of the land kind of warped little layers against these mountain ranges here, or hills. And there's fault systems that do run through here. But that's not to say there isn't any pumping operations nearby. In fact, it looks like there is there's a few out here. Maybe these might be houses. Hard to tell though unless we really zoom in. But either way, a little bit of earthquake activity there up against the what's it called? The Arbuckle Mountains. All right, there's the little features listed up here as well. I wish the USGS would show the faults, all the faults on here, but they don't. A U.S. hazard map for this area. Yeah, it's definitely within that zone. These guys, I think, are kind of pinpointing the Wichita Mountains kind of over here a little bit. So either way, this area looks like it's under a seismically hazard zone, according to the USGS, for potentially damaging earthquakes. New Madrid zone, we got a 2.7. That one coming in, looks like about 6 o'clock my time frame. 6.1 kilometers deep. Letting us know that the New Madrid zone is still active. Not seeing any major uptick. In fact, the last 30 days here of this area is pretty skimpy. Only about 23 earthquakes here located within that hazard zone of the New Madrid area. Eastern portion of the state, all quiet. Caribbean plate, Cocos plate, Nazca plate, pretty quiet itself. We have been seeing a little bit of activity around the Peru area. A couple fours, some deeper movement yesterday along the South America area, along the Peru-Chile Trench. Alaska, looks like that's starting to kick up a little bit here. Getting a couple fours, almost a 5 there early this morning. Pretty deep, well, not deep, super deep, but it is into the subduction zone here. 41 kilometers into it, into the Pacific and North American plate boundary. Also near St. George, Alaska, 4.2. That's kind of way up there, outside of the plate boundary zone. Of course, this earthquake here near the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, kicking up yesterday afternoon. Far as the little swarm that we're seeing here in the Gulf, let me zoom in a little bit, see what we got. Looks like that may have came to a halt about midnight or so. The last earthquake of 1.1. We have been seeing a little bit of noticeable increase here around this area of the Gulf of Alaska region. No major movement, but definitely a noticeable increase in activity specifically there for that spot. All right, Japan Trench, what do we have here? Looks like a 5.3 about midnight. 4.4 earlier this morning, just a couple hours after the 5.3. Obviously starting to move a little bit here. Remember, the Crow-Kamchatka Trench hasn't seen any major rupture here in a little while, and the stress built up is probably enough here for a pretty good sized quake. The Japan Trench has seen some 6s earlier this year, but I still think there's potential along this entire section here for a good sized earthquake. Around the Philippines here, all this activity from yesterday. In fact, nothing. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but a 4.9 about 2 in the morning, the latest quake here for this area. Aside from that, nothing above 4.0 showing up here on the map. And around the Fiji Islands area, all this activity from yesterday. Some deeper movement quakes for sure. So right now, I think we need to watch the West Coast, North American plate boundary, and potentially down here in South America with this halt of activity westward. Got to watch this eastern side of the plate boundary and adjacent plates for further activity. Let's see what we got for the EMSC, which is, I don't have them up here on my bookmarks yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring these guys up real quick and see what we got. Showing about the same activity here as the USGS. Some activity down South America. Looks like the latest of 4.0 coming in the most recent quake, so I don't think the USGS has reported that yet. So definitely some activity ramping up here along the South America region. Zoom in here as we take a little bit closer look at the smaller quakes. And there's still that cluster right here in the center of the Peru-Chile Trench up here off the coast of the Panama area and along the Middle America Trench, all showing quite a bit of microquakes. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here, folks. Green, green, green. Everything is green. I wish it was green out here in California, but it's not. It's dead. Everything's dead out here. The grass, the trees. It's cooler. I'm not gonna complain about that, but we don't have any rain in the forecast at all. This time last year we had 5 inches, all fall pretty much at once, but that was about it all winter last year, so not good. So green is the key today. Let's check out the man on the sun, looking pretty happy here today, actually facing us. Got a little nose in here, 2 eyes, a beautiful mouth, even maybe some teeth in there. The sad sun face has disappeared, and we're left with this beautiful image here of the happy sun. This coronal hole will be providing us possibly with some high-speed solar wind in the coming days, and watch that pretty closely. And this could be subject to change here as far as this 3-day geomagnetic forecast goes. A better look at these sunspots today show us some newly evolved and developing sunspots here, rotating into view. Nothing specifically facing Earth currently, just these sunspots. And right now, I think the main one kind of watching is going to be this guy right here, which is 3131, right? Yep, 3131, along with its companion 3133 behind it. So pay attention to those 2 sunspots as they rotate into view. I think there's a potential of at least seeing some good-sized C flares, maybe an M flare involved in there as well. Overnight, we did see an upper C flare right about the C6.7 category down here, but definitely keep an eye on it. Could be giving us a little bit of a show. I don't expect anything major popping off there, but we'll see if it develops. 3131 right now harbors a beta magnetic class. These guys only have a 10% chance of a C flare, but I think it's a little bit more than that. But it's okay. I don't make this forecast. I just do my observations and report. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Have a great day. Again, thanks to all the mods out here who have been helping out recently. And, of course, all the time, overnight. And any time of day for, taking care of the chat room here. You guys do a great job. Just wanted to, well, what do we got here? Just wanted to mention that there, folks. Okay, so 3.1 in Texas. That's kind of an odd earthquake. So let me see what we got. Let's go back here, get rid of this real quick, and see what's going on out there in Texas. 3.1, kind of in a odd. Is that the one that we were looking at? It was, huh? Okay, I was a little confused. It kind of looked like it was more over here along the Gulf. But no, we're okay. We're okay. I'm okay, I think. I don't know. Think I'm all right. Either way, have a good day, folks, and we will catch you guys a little bit later on. Stay safe, everyone. Have a good day.